the best way to get your attention without actually speaking. Alright, hi everyone. Hi. I feel like I'm home. So you're obviously not seeing red in your future, not your immediate one, which initially I thought someone's trolling me like really hard, but apparently it's like a system failure. So I'll try to point out the red parts. So we went through that. My timing sucks on these slides, so I just finished them like an hour and a half ago on 2 glasses of bourbon, so it should be good. This is me. My name's Ian. I do security. I work for Iamit. I can say I'm a hacker because I fuck with stuff and it breaks and I kind of make it work again and again. Do a lot of research just because it's fun. And it's a little more beyond just breaking stuff. So you can actually systematically break stuff. It's much more fulfilling. I actually do development. Really bad one, but it works on my shit. Some people tell me they found it working on other machines, which is even funnier if you get the context. But and I do red team. That's been my passion for a very long time. I started doing red team back when I was in the army, in the Israeli army. And I got kicked out of every possible organization in the army because I have a problem with authority. Sorry, boss. And apparently that works for some other organizations, so I guess it worked out for everyone. Some of my later research was on sexy defense, or how to grow a pair when you're defending instead of just sitting there and waiting for your fancy applications utility that you've been on for a month. I did a lot of exfil work as part of my red team history, which you should all know. Red team is not about getting in, it's about also getting the goods out. So there's a lot of focus on exploitation and vulnerability and finding cool shit, but it doesn't really matter if you can't get the data out. So that's some of my research. As I mentioned before, I used to steal kind of maybe work with the idea and set up the local DerbyCon group back in Tel Aviv. And other than that, it's really nothing. I got nothing to show for it. So, as opposed to a lot of my previous talks and research on red team and on offensive security and stuff like that, I run into a lot of organizations that think they're ready for a red team. But do they really know what they're up against? Or do they really realize what is a red team? A lot of times it's just a glorified pen testing. Sorry, it's not. And a lot of times people think, all right, so it's a pen testing with social engineering, so we're going to do phishing, right? Or you can call us and try to guess passwords and get passwords. That's not the deal either. I actually like the recent Wikipedia definition. I have to say recent because it keeps changing, which is a red team is an independent group that challenges an organization to improve its effectiveness. It's a very nice definition, especially because it doesn't have anything to do with security. Which is kind of weird for a security conference to have a red team talk if red team doesn't have anything to do with security. But then you need to understand that security is only part of the deal. Okay? It's part of running an organization. And this is exactly what a red team is supposed to do. We're going to stress and test the operations in your organization. Security is part of that. So how does that really work? Because, as I said before, it's not a pen test. So we're not going to get like a list of IP addresses and URLs and like, go at it between 9 to 5 and tell us your source IP address and just don't go hard enough, don't DDoS, don't exploit. But it's a red team pen test, right? Because you're allowed to like do phone pretexting or something. So this is the most text you'll probably see on my slides, I hope, as far as I remember from an hour and a half ago. And this is kind of a laundry list of the phases that, or the steps that you should take in order to prepare, execute, and actually get value out of a red team. If you cannot go through all of that, you're doing something wrong, and you should go back to step 1 to identify where things break. If you can go through that, awesome, you're ready for a red team. So we'll start, without further ado, with first step. You need to start by mapping. Mapping out your organization. How many people here can truthfully raise their hands if they know exactly how their organization works? Wow. Your organization is 5 people, asshole.
Do your homework.
Seriously. Do you want me to get someone fired right now? I can do that.
You want me to give your talk for you?
No. You know this.
You're tired.
So first of all, map. I mean, who's involved? Who's reporting to who? Who cares about security? Who cares about operations? Who are the key stakeholders? What? Who is this? This is all red, okay? Compliance, CISO, CIO, General Counsel, legal. I love legal. They're so awesome. Hot lawyers, shit. And CFO, audit, all those, CRO, that's the shit. If you're working financials, that's where you want to go, Chief Risk Officers. All of those different functions have major stakes at the security and operation of an organization, no matter how big or small they are. Sometimes these are even outsourced, right? Like, they don't have accounting because they're too fucking small, they can't count. But accounting is part of the organization. It holds a lot of information about how the organization works. So first of all, map out, because most of you, apparently, admittedly, have no clue where you're working and how things operate. So, step 1, map. Raise your hand, raise your eyes, like, oh, there's a whole lot of cubicles out there. Figure out who's working where, and try to start understanding who reports to who and how stuff works in the organization. Because in a red team, you're not going to end up just patching this server or upgrading that server or getting some money to buy a blinky box and fix things, because that's not, it's not repentance, as I said before, it's a red team. We're going to go across things, so we need to know who to talk to and how to get their buy-in, which leads us to the second step. So if you've mapped out your organization, okay, you know kind of who's reporting to who and who's in charge of what, and how things work internally. Now that you know how the organization works, can you really tell how is it making money? I know it's the dirty word. We're not supposed to deal with money. We're dealing with security. We're special snowflakes. We just don't let me look at the money. But someone's paying your goddamn salary, right? How does that happen? It's not magic. Someone's making money for you, so you can support them and protect them. Find out how that money is being made. What are the critical assets that, if they fail, you're not going to get any more money? Or even better, remember those people we mapped before? What are those critical assets that if I hit them, they'll die, or go to jail, or lose everything? And that's a great question to ask, even when you're pen testing, by the way. It's one hint for you guys. Ask what keeps you up at night. And don't ask the IT guy, because the IT guy is going to say, email. Right? What is the most critical asset in your organization? No matter what the organization does, someone genius enough is going to say email. If we don't have email, we're done. So if you don't have email, it's like, all right, guys, ring the alarm, everyone go home. You know, right? operate, you can talk to people. You have a little thing on your desk, it's a phone, you call people up and tell them, look, we gotta get shit done. We don't have email, so do this, and that. So figure out what are the real assets that an organization cares about from a business perspective. And you'll be surprised because a lot of times it's not gonna be the domain controller. It's not going to be the fancy database that you bought for like $200,000 from Oracle or IBM. It's not going to be the super mega ultra server buzzing away at the data center, blinking lights and shit. It might be a person that holds something critical to the organization. It might be a piece of data. It might be even a third party that we rely on, that if they're gone, we're out of business. Can't make any more money. You can't print your paychecks anymore, so you go home. If you cannot do that, you're not ready for a pen test. This is a critical part of your homework. Now, granted, if you do get a pen test, better hope that the pen testing team that's going to come in, they're going to ask you those questions. Or they'll find out for you. But you better be prepared because you want to focus your resources and efforts on supporting that red team. And we'll see exactly how that works without compromising the actual effect of a red team, which is kind of hit you by surprise. Good so far? Basic stuff, all right? Next step, once I identified, all right, so this is critical, this should not move, this AS400, it holds all our paychecks, and we're a paycheck company. So yeah, if that breaks, I can't pay anyone. I literally cannot pay because that's connected to Swift and money's not it's not flowing. That cable is also critical because if a mouse munches it overnight, no communication. Or even worse, communication fucks up and somebody is not getting paid, someone is getting paid, someone is getting paid more. So once you identify those assets and you have a mapping of who's in charge of what, you can start to connect the dots. And this is the fun part, because this part is when you start social engineering your own company. No other way to express it. You're getting buy-in from people inside the organization to conduct an all-out, balls-to-the-walls test of the operational efficiency. Now, there are a lot of ways to say red team, and use those ways to convey the message to those people. Is it awareness training? Is it Six Sigma, Judo Ninja, Black Belt, something for management? Is it compliance? Is it an audit? Find the right words and language to communicate with those other people that you've mapped out in the organization. Because you don't want to say, yes, we're going to do a red team. They're going to go to Wikipedia or find some website that has a picture of someone with like a security cap and a DEFCON shirt, like trying to break into their data center. They need to understand what they're going to get from it. So you need to learn that language and use it against them. Not really against them, it's for them. Sometimes you got to slap someone to kind of put them in place and then wake them up. So use those words and language to get buy-in and recruit people from inside and mask it as something that they're going to be connected to. Okay? It just happens that all of those different functions are getting all of those different elements, all right? Awareness training, audit at the same time, which is just happens to be your red team engagement. Now the fun part. You need to define a goal. So you've identified assets. What makes this organization tick? What makes it work? You got buy-in. People will actually work with you to get that shit done. You can start getting budget from all those different departments and kind of accumulate it into one bucket that says red team. Question is, do you really know what you're after? So we're going back to square one. What do you really need? And again, forget about IT. You don't need IT. All right? I've seen an organization that works work on like Windows 2000 and DOS and shit like that. They're super happy, super secure, everything ticks, it's super efficient because it just works. It's not about technology. All right, stop throwing your money on blinking lights. Unless it's like Joe's super cool hacker shit. And don't expect to just buy it. So really understand, what do I need? What is my goal in getting this test? What parts of the operation am I testing for efficiency, for security? Remember those assets. How would they break? What's my worst case scenario? Think about those and try to express them in a way that, again, that works with everyone that you got buy-in from. Is it legal? Could be. All right? Great fix for a security problem, for an operational problem in an organization might be changing some legal language in agreements that we signed with our third-party providers. Awesome. It's called risk management. I'm mitigating risk. I'm hedging my bets. So I can kind of offset losses or potential losses or issues to someone else. Awesome. No blink lights. Is it R&D? Am I developing some fancy new application or hardware that if that design leaks away, I'm out of business next year? Could be. Know what you're targeting. Could be procurement. How am I paying people? How do I get paid? It's all, nice and dandy and flowers and walks on the beach, and you have the most kick-ass product and services on the planet, but you know what? You're not getting paid. You're getting fucked over every time you do an engagement. Every time you sell a product, you're losing money. It's your basic business operations. Learn what you need to work with. Could be information sources, could be supply chain. Could be HR. Am I hiring shitty people? Am I not training them correctly to operate in maximal efficiency? All right? Maybe they're hurting my operations because I didn't tell them what they need to do or how they need to do it. It could be sales. Sales is usually a big problem. Big mouth, running around, spending money, signing deals here and there, spilling the beans on other deals that they sold with potential customers. It's a huge data leak. Know what's your problem, know what you're aiming for in terms of fixing or focusing on from a red team perspective. Cool? Shout if I'm not making any sense, or throw something, or bring me beer, I don't know. So, you've got the basics, right? You know what you need. You've got buy-in from the right people. You realize this is not an IT problem. This is not a pen test. Drop that shit. And now, you're faced with the challenge of actually finding someone stupid or brave enough, or skilled enough, to actually execute this dream fantasia land that you're thinking about with all your fancy mapping and targeting and assets and stuff like that. And that's not as trivial as it sounds. You don't just go Google for red team and hit the first link. It's like, oh guys, can you come in and red team me? You need to find the right team, whether it's internal or external, based on one thing. Skills. And again, it's not the hacker skills. It's not how fast can they type into an interpreter session before it actually breaks to own your shit. It's skills that correspond with the three main elements that a red team tests. And we're talking about electronic, that's the hacker shit. Okay, make sure that they've got their bases covered in terms of, can they actually operate in my environment? I might have some special equipment, whether it's hardware or software or whatever it is, that they've never dealt with before. Can they take on that challenge of learning it? Or do I need to find someone else that knows their way around this kind of infrastructure from a technical perspective? Is it social? Can they execute a proper social engineering engagement? That's part of a red team engagement. Do they have the skills? Do they have the background? Do they have the language? If I'm in France and I'm hiring a British red team, it's probably not going to fly unless they have someone local that works with them. All right? They're going to stick out like a sore thumb, and it's not going to work, especially if it's like over the phone. Is it physical? Can they pick locks? Can they identify what kind of locks we have? Can they do physical security shit? Can they kidnap someone from my company? Fair questions. Make sure that you cover all of those, and most importantly, you see those areas here? That's where the red team operates. Period. This is a pen test. This is a social engineering engagement that's got nothing to do with anything else. This is physical security. These are all different tests that you can get and be happy with, but the red team operates exactly here. So you need to make sure that you can find the right team that possesses all of those different elements that works for your organization. If you're US based and you need a red team on your Philippines office, make sure the team can travel, they have passports. I've run into situations where people were trying to send consultants overseas and it's like, I don't have a passport, I've never been outside the US. Yeah, that's not gonna fly, baby. Make sure that they can cover everything and that they do converge threats. Because we'll talk about this in a second. Threat is actually what you're after. You need them to simulate the enemy. Remember all those assets and what keeps me up at night? It's called risk management. It's called threats. Someone is out there to get me. Is it a competitor? Is it a nation state? Is it a local thief? Is it hackers? Is it anonymous? Whatever it is, I need to be able to identify it so that I can tell my red team, look guys, this is what we're afraid of. This is what keeps my CEO up at night, every day, every night, because he's fucking scared that this is gonna happen, we're gonna get attacked, own our shit, and everything goes down the drain. Find a team that can do this as your adversary. Which brings us to scenarios and rules of engagement. So yes, a red team is a full scope engagement. You can do whatever you want, whenever you want, but not really. That's what we say, in the books and the podcasts and the blog posts. But you really are after someone who can simulate your adversary. And to do that, you need to know, as I said before, who are you up against? What's the scope? Are they going to go after our physical facilities? Can they touch production? How much can they touch production? Is it like a prod? Is it like a big hug? Is it need balls? Is it just pick it up and leave? What's my scope? What are my rules of engagements? Okay. Do I have armed guards? Are my adversaries armed? I don't know. Do they know Kung Fu? Can they use it? You need to know and articulate how is this going to go down. Best way to do that? Threat model. You probably have no idea what that means because when you say threat model to software people, they go like, strike! And they pull out the big ass Visio with a ton of issues and software thingies and protocols and interfaces and calls. That's not a threat model. A threat model is basically what we went through so far. Assets, what am I protecting? Processes, it's a business thing, you're not going to get it. Controls over those processes, over those assets. What's protecting them? What's making sure that Nancy from accounting is not going to just sift through $10 million to her personal savings account? Should be a control over it. People. How do I know that Nancy is not like an ex-con who's been going through all the companies locally and stealing money from them? Remember that thing? The pen testing thing, technology. What do I have? Is it breakable? Map it out. This is part of my threat model. Location. Is everyone working from home? Everyone in the same office? Shared offices? Office building? How does that affect me as a target in terms of my threat model? How does that affect my adversaries in terms of access that they can get to my facilities? Culture. We're getting a little hippie here, but it's important. Is it a startup? It's like everyone does everything, no one reports to no one, and everyone knows everyone, like a small family. Is it a big 30,000 people organization and people are sitting next to each other for 5 years, can't tell what's their last name? Different cultures, different opportunities, different threat models, and attack surfaces. Last but not least, adversaries. Is it Joe from accounting? Is it Ming from China? Check. I love check boxes. No, I'm not. Next step, everything's set up. All right, I have a threat model, I picked a team, actually worked on the threat model with the team that I found because they're good. They understand what my concerns are and they helped me build that. So now I need to figure out what am I going to do when the red team actually starts. The answer is you're not going to sit idly waiting for the things to finish and get a report. You're going to have fun as well. But again, remember, this is not about sitting there and watching everything fall apart. This is about monitoring and recording how did my organization behave when things went down. This is critical because this will give you so much more value than just listening to someone else tell you how they did something to you. Because you have the flip side of things, and you can actually gauge and monitor my incident response. How did I do things? Did we detect them? Did we even detect them when they were like flying around drones outside the facility? When they were driving around with like rental Escalades outside the facility that no one drives an Escalade out there. Like 5 times going back and forth. Did anyone notice that? If they have, what did they do about it? This is one of the biggest values that you can kind of augment into a red team engagement from your end to maximize the efficiency of that. And to the most relevant part of a red team, most fun part, execution. Red team's coming. At this stage, again, you have prepared your blue team or white team or whatever you want to call it to monitor things. Or even get someone from the red team to sit down and pretend to be like the auditor that interviews people and kind of monitors how things happen. It doesn't end there. When the red team is executed, shit's gonna happen. Fact. If it doesn't, something's wrong. Hire another red team. And the key here is to be able to clearly, efficiently, and eloquently communicate with your point of contact at the red team. And that communication, again, is critical to the success of that red team. It's not about, chit-chatting, just making sure you're still alive and, what's going on, what are you doing? Don't bother the red team with bullshit. All right? Don't overflow them with information they don't need because they're just going to slap you and it's like, I'm not talking to you anymore. I've done it before. Be efficient. And your efficiency in communication is basically staying in control of escalation processes. That's the key point. You don't want to get your team arrested. Yes, they have their letters of whatever, get out of jail for free card, but you control the escalation on your end. And you need to know when to stopgap that escalation. You want to make sure that you do go through incident response. You want to make sure that you test the processes and the procedures around, someone's in our network. You don't want to get to a point where someone calls a friend in the State Department and gets their ass in jail for hacking from China or something like that, or causing an international incident. Trust me, this close to creating a few of this. Oops, yeah. everyone attacks from China. I mean, every decent pen tester have a few boxes in China, and my favorite one's Iran. No, you don't get it. The government owns the conglomerate that runs internet over there. They have wicked, wicked fibers running into that country. Wicked. And really, really fast boxes. So, and it always works. Like, trace RT, oh shit, no. Forget about that. Don't call man JT. So, Red Team came, then it left. That's right. Now they're working on the report. Okay? It's going to take some time, a few days, a week, depending on how fast, the guy writing the report can go through a bottle of wine, 2 or 3. And this time, you can do some work as well. Again, I know you thought, I'm going to get a red team, I'm going to pay $1 million and sit on my ass and get a report and everything's going to be fixed. No. That's wrong. It's your time to analyze. There's a lot of data on your end, if you did things correctly, that you can go through and again, prepare for the red team report. When you get the report from the red team, you want to have a report of your own to correlate it against, so you can see this is how the attack went on, this is what I saw on my end. And get that from everywhere, from all the people that you got the buy-in from, and you sold them this audit, Six Sigma, awareness training, whatever it is. Get all that data, get all that reporting, go through it, and get ready for the actual report. Again, we're talking about value. We're not talking about running some sexy exploits or breaking into a secure door or stealing your CFO's daughter to cause some damage. We're talking about analyzing and understanding where is the systematic failure that I have so I can fix it. So work on your end to enhance the findings that you're going to get from the red team. It just makes perfect sense until you see it. You're sitting, as I said, on a ton of data, from IDS, system logs, firewalls, access controls. Make sure that you get everything, call records, web traffic, who accessed the website, when, is there a change in patterns, can I learn something from it, because that team is the actual enemy. All right, this is not a pen test. I'm not going to see an Nmap scan on my website, all right, or a Nessus scan on my website, and say, all right, so this is how shit's going to fall down when my competitor attacks me. No, they're not going to use it. They're going to behave like you've just seen on the red team. So make sure you track everything that the red team did and see how you did internally. Even social media. How many friends do I have now? How many friends do my employees have? Is anyone new following me on Twitter or any one of my employees? Did I get any Google alerts in the time that the engagement was run? Was someone looking for me? Track that shit so you can see how you behave and how you react internally, so you can take those notes and later apply them. Because if you have a social media problem, everyone's like chatting and open, and it's like, oh yeah, sure, I'll accept. Working on my new R&D project, shit's gonna go down. And last, when you finally get the report and do that correlation, it's time to really sit down and make sure that you get all of the value out of it. The goal is very simple. See where you fail. And not just fail in a, oh, someone screwed up, it was a one-time thing, because you can't fix that. Look for systematic failures. Look for things that you and the red team can say, yes, I can do this again and again and again, and keep breaking in, keep taking shit out, because you have a systematic failure somewhere. And that somewhere is key, because it's not always going to be technology. It's not always going to be process. It can be anything. As I said before, it can be legal, HR, people, training, So find those systematic issues. And that's exactly why you prepped up for the report by creating your own internal blue team report. You do the correlation, right? That's why I sent you initially to get the buy-in from other people, because now you can go back to them and say, I think we have a problem here from an operational perspective of how we move money or how we ship stuff, how we source for materials. We need to fix that. We're going to be more efficient. Not more secure, more efficient. Okay? Quick example from my past short history. This was from a red team I ran. And when I was back in the Air Force, and we were really testing a very secure facility that had some secret shit on it, and it was very hard to get into. We had a horrible time there. But this picture was taken in their dumpster site. Dumpster diving is a hobby you should start to embrace and own. With rubber gloves and go at it. Wear long sleeves, by the way, when you're dumpster diving. For the love of God, please wear long sleeves. It's summer, it's hot in Israel, so we're walking through the dump site, almost zero security. I mean, the guard passed by, we waited for them to pass by, got in, and started rummaging through shit. And we found this. I don't know if you can see this. There's no red, it's a sun server, so it's blue. That's a red shirt, by the way. I promised to point out the red. So we found this. It's a shopping / whatever, like tea cart, whatever it is, stacked with old broken servers. I shit you not. And those, I'm like, it's probably, you know, they went through cleaning and stuff like that. It's just the chassis. So I open them up, and it's not just a chassis. And they're hard drives. The dude here, a good friend of mine, is holding a hard drive from the server, from the Sun server. So we're like, okay, wait, go back home, plug the hard drive in. I think I have a text. Plug the hard drive in, and it's got the current version of the software of the servers that are running in that special Snowflake unit that we're testing. Awesome. So we reverse it, find lots of shit, and then we find some more shit on the hard drive itself because all the developers and all the guys operating the system just leave crap lying around. And we basically own them. We could have owned them without even walking in. All right, we did the entire thing, and we found some vulnerabilities in process and physical and electronic and access controls, but this was like the pinnacle because we found every item that we covered in the entire red team, we could have just recovered from this hard drive. Which I was kicking myself because I spent so much time running around in dirt and hiding, and it's hot and I hate sand. And I could just picked up this little piece of shit and just write a report and I'm done. And the beauty of it is that you can point out systematic failures across different areas of the organization. So we're talking about personnel training. Again, the armed guards, and I'm talking armed guards, not like bullshit, you know, mall cop stuff. Running around would kill us if, you know, they'd find us like rummaging some shit there. And they did their job. We found, you know, a problem with the system of how the shifts work and the routes and stuff like that, and the fences that were supposed to buzz when you touch them or whatever. But they went right through this. Literally right through that area where there's shit dumped on the side. Why aren't you telling your security guards to look out for stuff that stupid people inside leave lying around? It's so simple. You connect your physical perimeter security guys to what you do as an organization. Why? Process changes. How did this thing end up in the dumpster? You can identify tons of process failures, systematic failures, inside, with people, with technology, that ended up leaving that Sun server lying around in the dumpster. How come the hard drive is not wiped? How come no one just shot a 50 cal bullet into this thing and made sure it's done? You have enough of them lying around just in the back. You have a range that you can fire missiles with. And you leave the hard drive. And you have a freaking tank, just run over it. Simple. Change management, R&D practices, the amount of shit that we found. And then again, this is funny because that's a third party providing that software. Cool iPad. What do you want? 0 minutes?
10.
That's it? Oh, 10. Dude, you gotta fix your iPad.
Oh shit.
R&D practices. Third party develops software for someone. This time for the army, whatever. Why do they leave so much shit lying around on a production server? Why you did not test for shit lying around on the server? Systematic failures. Okay? I'm not even talking about the actual software, it's just completely broken down. Anyone who's dealt with government knows that the shit they get is the lowest bidder that they can find, all right? So by definition, you're getting crap stuff. So at least put some controls around it to make sure that the crap is just hardened or whatever it is. And physical security routine. So from one hard drive, from one run around the perimeter of the base, and scoping it out and understanding how security works and the controls, we found all of that stuff. And that affects the actual operations of that organization. Show me a pen test that would do that, ever in the history of computers. So we found all those systematic failures, which leads us to actually fixing shit. That's the fun part. That's where you get the most value out of this process. And by this point, you should be versed enough in everything that happens in your organization. Remember all the people here that didn't raise their hands because they didn't know how the organization worked? Once you get this, all of those hands are going to be way up there because you're going to know exactly how things work. That's a huge plus for the organization, just by itself. But fixing things is really fun. Again, it is not about going to Gartner, looking at that top right section, picking a vendor, and paying. You're not going to fix shit by buying stuff. You're probably going to make it worse. So a couple of examples of issues, systematic issues that in my past I managed to see through fixation. First example, or example 2. Incident response from hell. We did a red team with a vertical organization, high-tech company, media, whatever. And they knew their shit. They had everything lined down. They had a wicked IR team, like gangsters. The problem was that every malware that got in that was interesting enough, they went through hell and back to understand exactly what's going on. And they got the skills. They would reverse it, they would put it in a sandbox, analyze everything, like the whole thing. They're smart enough also to know that if it's sophisticated enough, which means if an AV comes up with like a generic detection, it means that they've had it for at least 2 months and it's real. All right? Not some bullshit virus, it's real. Because if my AV goes on generic and I see a problem somewhere, I need to deal with shit. And the best way of dealing with shit is letting it run, because once you stop it, your IR sucks. Okay? So let it run, try to control the information around it. Awesome, right? So that's the process. The problem was that once we found this out, we're like, okay, let's DDoS IR. So you should all know by now it's fairly easy to create APTs, okay? And send them in multiple vectors and let them run. Within 3 days, IR was backlogged like hell. That's the only thing they're dealing with. They couldn't deal with password resets, they couldn't deal with broken printers, they couldn't deal with simple malware. They were just all out because we gave them like, oh my god, look at those tokens, look at that shit. It's like communicating over SSL, and we broke the SSL, and it's like there's open PGP messages inside, so it's someone's really out to get us, and they were all frantically working literally around the clock for days. So we'll let them run for a couple of days. Everyone's exhausted. Everyone's like out of it. Guess what we did in the meantime? A lot of fun. So again, it boils down to what are you focusing on? Where's your failure? And it's very easy to identify that, because if you leave your stuff running with a CNC that would indicate of things happening, you can actually track, oh, that thing moved from production to the IR, because now I can see it's sandboxed, it's running under a different kind of environment. I'm still seeing duplicates, so it's the same kind of instance of my malware, and showing up again, someone's dealing with it. So I can actually track how many instances of my attack are being handled by IR, and I can track them over time and see the delays keep getting longer and longer, up to a point where like, okay, time to attack. They're all busy. They are buffer overflowed. What's going on? More example, sales. I told you before, I love sales. Salespeople are the best. So the organization is a security contractor in this instance. They make big guns. R&D, production, testing, everything is in one location. All right? They know their shit, everything's secure. They make guns. Guess what their guards have? Big guns. So it's kind of fun to test those. Sales are global. Because, you don't just sell guns to your country. Who does that? You sell it to everyone. I mean everyone. And they're all controlled from HQ. So that's our target, because we can't, going through the perimeter, I don't want to get shot. Really don't. Went through that, not into it. So we targeted sales. We found the right context. If you go to a red team talk or a class or whatever it is, you know that context is king. Find the right context. There was like some big spook sales, whatever, people who deal with guns and shit like that. And we knew that their salespeople are going to be there. So we targeted that. And salespeople are really easy to own because they'll click on everything. Got a shell inside, got a deal on production machine, got a deal on manufacturing, which means that now we can make guns not work. Which is really fun to show the CEO. It's like, there's your production, and here is me blocking the borrow hole or whatever it is. Or, oh, look at that, a gun with no trigger. Peace! They really freak out. Sales ledger, major diplomatic incident potential, because everyone sells guns to everyone. Fuck that shit. So we saw a process breakdown anywhere from physical security, right, by USB drops and letting salespeople get media and do something with it, through separation of duties internally, network segmentation. How the fuck do I get from sales to production? Can you please explain how that works? Because I can't. All the way down to egress data management, because shells between you and me in a production environment shouldn't be able to get out. It should be extremely hard to make a simple, stupid interpreter shell, which is exactly what we did, call home from a production environment. Okay, so again, identifying those issues and fixing them one by one. And these are not all technical fixes. It's not about, oh, okay, so I'll fix my firewall, no more egress. No. So we covered the plan. I hope I'm not missing anything. I hope you kind of understand what's going on here. If you're not able to run through the entire program, go back to step one. please, for the love of God, don't spend your money on something you don't need. This is kind of counterintuitive because I'm selling red team, all right? This is my livelihood. I'm telling you, don't get a red team. Because you know what, if you do, and I end up doing it, I'm not gonna have fun, you're not gonna have fun. All right, you're gonna have to deal with me not having fun, which is not fun. So please, I can be really fun, all right? But I can be really pissy. So please make sure you cover all those basics. It's not really rocket science. It's not difficult. It is, but it's not like just break out of that mold of let me buy this thing that Gardner says that's going to stop APTs. I'm good. It's not who's got the biggest one. All right? Don't hire me just because I'm standing here speaking because someone was stupid enough to let me speak here. All right? Find the right people for the right job. It may not be me. Maybe someone, who costs less, is prettier, and is not going to shout at you if they're not having fun. Okay? It's about challenging the organization to improve its effectiveness. Back to square one. What is a red team? It's not about security. Remember that. And furthermore, it's about challenging yourself to break out of that mold of, I'm a hacker, I do IT security, I'm a CISO, I manage information security. That's bullshit. No, really, that's bullshit. You're getting paid to do 30% of the security work in an organization and you call yourself a CISO? Doesn't make sense. Security doesn't happen just in IT. Break out of that and start looking around to work with your peers. And really challenge your assumptions on how secure am I? I see a lot of people, a lot of organizations that say, we know our weaknesses. We know what will work if someone tries to attack us. Do you? Well, first of all, validate it. You know it. You know how well you're going to fare up against this attack? You know that this is going to work and this is not going to work? Test it. Second of all, you're still thinking like a CISO. You're still thinking like an IT security guy. Challenge yourself and your assumptions on security to expand it a little beyond because someone's paying your paycheck and it's not that IBM or Dell server. No, there's no certificate at the end. There are no CPEs in completing that drill. All right, just pay your dues, listen to podcasts, and keep your CISSP. This is about being actually effective at doing your job and getting paid and making sure the organization keeps making money and keeping safe. There are no medals. No one's going to give you an attaboy because security sucks and it's hard work and you're not getting paid enough, but whatever. But just do work. The other hand, you're going to get a better ROI, and this is for the CISOs who use and like the management. You get a way better ROI than any other test the organization can go through. Period. You want to challenge me? Challenge me. Better than an audit, better than a goddamn ENY, KPMG, whatever it is, they come in and check boxes, better than a pen test, better than a vuln assessment. You go all the way across, all through the walls, this is what's going to happen when I get attacked. So take that audit, take that risk assessment that the CRO got or compliance got and execute it. And see how things fall apart inside so you can fix it properly and not just this department, that department, that department. It goes across. Until the next meeting, of course. And again, this is not just, I got a red team, I'm good now because I got results and I fixed it, bye. Your organization keeps changing, you keep changing, keep challenging yourself, your assumptions, your operations, to make sure that everything keeps ticking and you can finish in 0 minutes.
Questions are outside.
That was perfect timing. Oh my God.